Hello everyone and welcome back, and today we're going to talk about how to knit stranded color work. We could talk about theory until I go blue in face. However, when it comes down to it, we kind of need sometimes to know how to do the mechanics of a particular technique. So that's what this video is going to talk about, the deep dive of how do you actually knit more than one color in a row using stranded color work techniques. And so let's dive in. So you can see I've got this project. This is a doodle cowl. I'm using the Summer Deck and Fiala Lopi by Lopi. And so I've got two colors here. I have white contrast color and I have a blue background color. And the very first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my background color is on my left side and my foreground or contrast color is going to be on the right side. And what that does, before we start thinking about anything our hands are doing, what that does is makes sure that our foreground color is going to pop against the background color. Believe it or not, when you are knitting stranded color work, there is something called color dominance, where one of the yarns, just by how they tend to fall on the back side of the work, whether they are underneath or over top of the other strand, will affect how it shows up. And so if you reverse them, then that blue is going to pop up more vividly than the white. And so it'll look like your motif is kind of hiding in the background. So when we're setting ourselves up for success, step one, make sure our yarn is on the right sides of our body or our working space. Now, hopefully this will also help minimize the number of tangles you run into, because they will each have their own home. And then as a result of their homes, you're going to have your background color sort of sitting on the bottom and your foreground color sitting on the top as you work around. You'll see in a moment. And so that will keep them from constantly tangling on each other. Look, mine's tangled right here. So let me untangle. Just took it out of my bag, so have mercy on me. Untangle that. There we go. So that my white is up top and my blue is on the bottom, essentially, as I'm going to work along my project. And now I'm ready to go, ready for success. So what I'm going to do is just like a 2x2 pattern for this. I'll rip it out afterwards, no biggie, just to help you understand. So we're going to do 2 blue, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 white, etc., while I'm demonstrating these techniques. First thing you could do right off the bat, you don't need a fancy technique, you just need to knit your stitches. So that would be the pick up and drop off, pick up and drop down method, I guess. So you would knit your stitches with one color. So I'm going to knit 2 blue. Then I would drop my white yarn, my blue yarn, and pick up my white and knit 2 white stitches. Totally fine. Drop down, pick up my blue again. Note that I'm picking up my blue. I'm not coming around like this. I'm making sure that my blue still stays underneath. It's floating along underneath the white. And that's going to keep your yarn from getting tangled. Drop, grab my white from on top, knit 2 more stitches, and so forth. And so you could do that all the way across the project. Easy peasy. It's slow, but if you're into slow stitching, that might be your jam. And there's no judgment. This is how most people, I think, learn or experiment to knit stranded color work. You can also do this if you knit continental style. So knit 2 stitches, drop your yarn, pick up, the white one needs to be above the blue, so make sure you're grabbing it from the right space, and then knit your 2 white, and so forth. So you can do the drop method from either side, no biggie. But maybe we want to sort of hit more of a comfortable rhythm and do a little bit more of a smooth action. And so the next step would be to hold the yarns together in one hand and flick sort of with the 2 versions of the 2 different colors of yarn. You'll note, just quick side, so because I'm doing a 2x2 pattern, I don't have to worry so much about making sure that I have enough yarn in the back when I'm floating my yarn. But if you're going to have bigger sections, so you can see like in the blue here, bigger sections where it's all one color, you want to really make sure you have enough yarn floating in the back and it's not pinching your work really, really small. So let's try. I am a thrower. I'm an English style knitter. I usually carry my yarn in my right hand and I throw my yarn over. So let's try putting both of our colors together in one hand. Now, in advance, you will have to forgive me because I don't normally carry my color work in my right hand, which you will see for the finale of this video. But essentially, you would have, oh my goodness, Emily, both of these yarns here. And so if I am going to use the blue, I'm going to sort of capture that from underneath and knit with my blue. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to grab my white on top, knit with my white, and so forth. So you're tensioning both yarns in your hand, however works for you. And instead of dropping both, I'm just picking up the appropriate one. You could probably also stage them with your fingers, but honestly, I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to do that for you, having them both here and just using my fingers like so. Okay, so that's 2 in 1 hand essentially for the English style knitters out there. What about you continental buds? So we've got, I'm going to line this up my other hand here. There we go. And go in, I'm going to grab the right yarn there, the blue, flip it off. So it's just tensioning the 2 of them together in one hand. You can get little accessories like this Norwegian knitting thimble, which is quite clever. As far as I can tell, I haven't been able to get it to work on my right hand, but I have been able to get it to work on my left if I'm doing continental style. And, okay, so I'm going to put my blue in here. I'm going to put my white in. It's like trying to load up the yarn winder, you know what I mean? There we go. In there. Oh, you pesky little yarn. Then you can easily tension through your fingers. And it's a little bit easier to manage those. So I can pop I'm on blue, and pop my blue in. 1 and 2, come on. And then I can go and grab my white. 1 and 2, etc., etc. So it's a little bit easier to manage. And like I said, I haven't really been able to get it to work for throwing, but for picking, totally works. Okay, so again, this is essentially it's another method of having 2 in 1 hand. I would like to show you my preferred method for knitting color work, which can be a lot. And if you're intimidated by it, then I can absolutely make some recommendations. But essentially what I like to do is hold 1 yarn in my right hand and 1 yarn in my left hand and do as a combination of the 2 techniques. So I like to pick continental style, the background color, and then throw the foreground color. It does mean conveniently that my yarns are even less likely to get tangled, which is lovely. And it means I don't have to drop and pick up yarns. I'm less likely to have to do that, less likely to have to retension because they're each individually being tensioned and I'm not trying to balance the tensioning between the 2. Okay. Like so. Okay. And so if you are intimidated by that, but it's something that you want to try, I recommend getting big needles, big yarn, and practicing whichever technique is less common to you. So I knit a poncho on 25mm needles using the continental style in order to practice being able to do it, and then just go for it. just go for it. Take time, build the skill, give yourself patience, and work, I guess, on speed, work on tension. You'll find that you tension differently on each one. You might have to tension one side more than the other, but it is a really smooth technique, and bonus, it looks really cool when you're knitting on the bus. People will stand up and look, pay attention. So these are the myriad of ways that you could knit stranded color work in your project, and I hope that you experiment with the different techniques and figure out what works best for you. When I started, I would pick up and drop and pick up and drop. Then I figured out how to hold them both in my right hand for a while, but ultimately I knew I wanted to do the two-handed version, and I worked at it, and now that I've got it, I don't think I could ever go back. So happy knitting. Again, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments, reach out to the store. We're always happy to help. And I wish you all the very best on your stranded color work journey. Take care.